The topic for today is ultra processed foods and how modern food science and technology is shaping up our health, especially when it comes to our decision to purchase products, our decision to put food into our body, which type of food that we put into our body, and what we consider as real food, because what our parents, our grandparents consider as real food probably can be very different, be it in the shape, form, presentation, as well as ingredient list when it comes to what we eat now versus 20 or 30 years ago. So I think that's such a good idea to focus on breakfast because the saying goes that breakfast is the most important, allegedly, the most important meal of the day.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
I do agree, although I know that a lot of our listeners are going to say that they skip breakfast occasionally. Uh, I think, though, that it's really good to start your day strongly. And if starting your day strongly involves getting up, going for a run, coming back and sitting down in the quiet of a cafe and having a small breakfast with a coffee, that's awesome. I don't do that. I'm not a runner in the morning. So I get up, I wander down, say hello to my cats.
Neither do I.
Yeah. I'm a sourdough with coffee kind of person.
Some more savory?
More savory, perhaps. Peanut butter is my go-to. But then on the weekend, I might switch it up. We'll do eggs and occasionally on a Sunday,
Yeah.
go out to brunch with people, friends, etc. So it's not one single thing that I have absolutely every morning.
But the concept and ritual of breakfast, you agree with that?
We do breakfast.
Because I'm gonna be a little bit controversial, and I know that if you have heard this me talking about this topic before, you will probably remember that I do think that breakfast, the saying breakfast is the most important meal of the day is was coined by breakfast cereal manufacturers and brands so that they can sell more products, which is not bad. But I also believe that, and let me be very candid and open to you about this. I do think that there is a big part of that decision in terms of skipping breakfast that came from my insecurity, growing up being overweight and larger. And I do think that because for as long as I can remember, I've always been counting calories. So I do think that the skipping breakfast is less about a strong belief, but more about I can save my calorie count towards the end of the day, towards dinner, towards lunch or dinner, or a sneaky glass or two of alcohol. And therefore, it's almost that I'm not skipping breakfast for anything meaningful. It was basically just sacrificing breakfast to bank my calorie allowance.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can see that, for a lot of families, doing breakfast quickly
And
involves
healthily,
and well,
semi-healthily.
get healthy.
Yeah.
But it involves something that's quick. If
Yes.
you're trying to get the kids out to school, then it's something that's quick. It's not a full breakfast of bacon and eggs and um, smashed avocado and all the rest of that. That's maybe a weekend breakfast. But during the week, it needs to be quick. So breakfast cereals actually makes a lot of sense. I asked my favorite AI what the top 10 breakfast cereals were.
Wow. Give it to us.
Well, I think that there's some controversy over it because if you go and ask
I can't wait for this. Yes.
which ones sell the best, I feel like that's a slightly different list. I was also looking through uh, a number of sites which talk about the top 10 healthy cereal.
Okay.
Uh, you may not be surprised to know that the list that I put together, uh, in terms of popularity, but also longevity of those cereals and breakfast food. So Wheat Bix, cornflakes, Sultana brand,
Yes.
top three.
There. I mean, I'm sure they have been in the top three for decades.
I think so as well. The interesting thing about Wheat Bix, I think, and I'm going to deal with this on each one of them because I never realized this until I built this list. So Wheat Bix, wheat, which sounds healthy, You know, Weet-Bix is spelled W-E-E-T.
Yes.
So it's not actually, it's not, it sounds like wheat. It sounds healthy. Now, Weet-Bix is pretty close to whole grains.
Yes.
So it is on the healthier side for sure. But then if I look at, say, neutral grain is number 4. Now, neutral grain has a reasonable amount of sugar in it. I think that it falls into the ultra processed foods category, and hence the topic of this podcast. But neutral grain or Nutrigrain, again, it sounds nutritious, maybe spelled N-U-T-R-I. It's
Yeah.
very clever marketing.
And I think there is as someone who didn't grow up here but then came here as an adult, when you say about when you say the brand Nutrigrains, the first thing that came in mind was the Ironman competition, because for the longest time they are sponsoring that event, and for me coming here as an 18-year-old, that is the association that I made and have always held
It's
in my head.
really aligned.
Yes.
And we've all seen the ads growing up about how it gets you going for the morning.
Yes.
And it might, because it's got quite a bit of sugar in it. If we keep going down the list, we get Cocoa Pops, Fruit Loops, and even Milo cereal.
That I can get on board with as a dessert.
Yeah, but again, the spelling of the name, and I didn't see this until I put them all down. You know, Fruit Loops sounds like fruit.
Yes.
Flavored like fruit.
Yes.
It's spelled F-R-O-O-T.
Instead of fruit.
Exactly.
Isn't that amazing?
Now, Fruit Loops is very high sugar. Also my favorite cereal. But I have Fruit Loops maybe like once a month, or once every 3 months. It's really, I think it started its life actually as a sweet snack, not a breakfast cereal.
Yeah.
Really putting together this list up, rolled oats come in towards the 8, and then there's a whole range of wheat biscuits.
Yes.
Which are actually made out of wheat. There are a number of the supermarkets who do their own brand.
Yes.
A lot of those are actually quite reasonably good for you.
So from everything that you said, I think all of the things that make it into the top 10 most favorite or most popular or more frequently bought and consumed breakfast items are all wheat-based, are all cereal grain-based.
But half of them are ultra processed.
Yes. And I don't know if you know this, and I don't know if you're listening at home or at work. Hopefully you're at work. There you go. Notice that whenever it says that it's made with whole grain or made from whole grain, there is no legal requirement as to how many percentage of whole grain. That's number one. And number two, technically all flour or refined flour are made from whole grain, because once upon a time it's the wheat germ that has been processed into making the white flour, the refined flour. So this is a thing that a lot of people, especially younger generations and the new wave of parents, are fighting back against, especially in the US, because not for nothing, whenever, like you, I love going to the supermarket, especially when I'm in a different country or even sometimes in a different state or cities, right? Uh, what what they consider as better for you pantry products or food products there are just basically our normal staple here. Because,
Have you got an example?
for example, pasta sauce. The amount of added sugar in the pasta sauce in the US is a lot higher. They are so much more accustomed to a sweeter taste in the tomato-based pasta sauce compared to us here.
Breads in the US are
Bread.
And even when you go to a local baker, I have my favorite in California, San Francisco, great baker, but the sourdough it's got a sweetness to it, and it's just the local expectation.
Yes, that's what consumers have been accustomed to through many, many years, right? And the other thing that I also often compare is the percentage of fat in their ground meat or mince here.
Right.
So what we consider as extra lean is their lean, and what we consider as normal regular mince, or they call it ground beef there, I think ours, the range varies, but normally it's 12 to 15% for our regular mince. For our US friends, they would probably be buying something like 18% or 20%
Yeah.
or more. So basically, if you move from living in Australia to living in the US, and you can eat exactly the same type of products and food, you would still be consuming around about 10 to 15%
Yeah. Calories.
of calories in your overall diet. So I really do think that this is probably one of the reasons why the GLP-1, Ozempic, Wegovy brands product are so much more popular there, because um, overweight and obesity are a serious health problem there compared to us here, for example.
And I guess in the US, you need to be making more careful choices because the default that might be okay for you here in Australia may not be that default, may not be as good for you,
Yeah,
or maybe
yeah.
more processed, or have more fat, or have more sugar.
And I think the expectation of, how do I put this in a nice way? I feel that we're so privileged here in Australia because you don't, it's almost like you don't even have to turn the product and read the back label. Our regulatory body and requirements are so strict to the point where even your entry product is healthy or than the US version.
Yeah. I've had a lot of research this week
Okay.
because I'm so interested in the food topic.
Yes.
That means that I brought some interesting comments for you. And again, we're trying to stay on this ultra processed food and minimizing ultra processed food. So the question that I asked myself was, well, aside from the US, and I know that like pancakes and maple syrup and it's a huge amount of butter is very popular in the US for US breakfast. But what about other countries? And so this list I put together, and I'm going to call it my top 10 breakfasts
Okay.
around the world. And maybe you can make a comment on how healthy.
Yes, bring it on.
So
I don't know why, but I'm sitting up straighter now that we're talking about food.
so Turkey. So I don't know if you've been to Turkey. I haven't had the opportunity, but I love Turkish food. Um, in Turkey, as far as my research shows, egg dishes, but also cured meats, which I've seen.
Like sashuka.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sugar. And bagels as well.
I didn't know a bagel.
Yeah. Lentil soups,
Okay.
cheese pies. So it's a lot. It's this mix of savory,
Yes.
including meats, and then things that are baked, like the shashukat,
Yeah.
with a lot of tomato bases. It really sounds like a hearty breakfast to me.
That what when you ask any Indonesian, that is basically how we would think of breakfast. So it's a lot more like that compared to the Western world.
Yeah. Singapore. Can you guess what the Singapore?
The kaya toast,
The one.
yes, with the thick slab of butter.
Thick slab of butter. Often a coconut spread
Yes.
as well. Boiled egg is critical.
Yep. Or soft boil.
Also boiled egg.
Yeah.
And then the thick white toast, which
Yes,
sounds processed to me.
it is. I can tell you it is.
Favorite breakfast. How
Yes.
does that rate on the scale of processed to under processed?
Well, they walk a lot, so I don't know how they compare to the rest of the world, but I do know that they, in terms of Southeast Asian countries, on average, their population walk around about, I think, 18 or 20% more than the average people in Southeast Asian country. So, I think that they work for it. I do not recommend that for someone who either try to lose weight or someone who has predisposed condition to developing high sugar level or things like that, because a lot of these stuff are high in sugar. But again, my argument is that if you're going to eat something that is high in sugar, might as well have it in the beginning of the day. At least it gives you energy. But the good thing is that things like the soft boiled egg, for example, is higher in protein compared to the toast and everything. So uh, from dietetic and nutrition point of view, you have that high sugar that gives you that immediate energy, that gives you that power to start your day in the morning.
Yeah.
But at the same time, because of the high protein content as well, that helps you, and the fat too from butter, that helps your body to sustain the energy for longer. And if your line of work is quite physical, that probably is the right choice for breakfast.
Because the other thing that I've seen while traveling in Singapore are the coconut rice soups,
Yes.
which I think tends to be later in the morning, like a brunch or mid morning sort of snack.
I think that's probably just because it's not really practical to be on the go. So probably people have that.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. But then you can also add things to those soups as well. And I guess you need to be careful about what you add.
Yes, because like this is just like saying that eating sushi is healthy, and it's true. But then if you reflecting on my own experience, if I sit on a sushi train restaurant, that becomes unhealthy because then I would just be piling on food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking about piling on food, French.
Yes.
So
Croissant.
croissant. Though that a traditional French breakfast is a espresso and a cigarette.
That's it.
I think.
So they don't drink wine in the morning.
Well, yeah, not at least until 10.
Okay. A glass of Chablis.
Yeah, something like that. And we're talking about a lot of. We're probably talking down French breakfasts. I've had some amazing French breakfast.
Do you know about French paradox?
Explain for it the French paradox.
So in the world of health and wellness, there's this term that was coined by, I think, an American researchers actually, French paradox, which basically a paradox when it comes to what French people eat versus their health outcome. France has one of the lowest incident or rate of cardiovascular diseases, which is a paradox to the amount of butter and fat that in the food that they are consuming, and hence the name French paradox. And for the longest time, and I'm sure the wine industry has something to do with this, uh, the hypothesis that was put forward was because of the polyphenolic antioxidant compound in the wine that they're consuming that helps the body to process all of this fat and reduce the incidence of cardiovascular diseases.
I think a lot of people have suggested why French butter is good for you.
It is higher in fat. It is, and you know what? I never really noticed the color of the butter until I consumed butter in America.
Yeah.
Have you ever noticed that American butter is so pale compared to butter anywhere else in the world?
And I believe that it's because of how the cows
Feed.
fed. Yeah.
Yes.
So if you finish a cow on, or if a cow's eating grains mostly, and indoors, it's going to be very different
Compared to the grass fed. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You're literally what you eat. What you eat.
I'm quite sure, because I know that the French are very strict with their rules, that there is a whole set of rules around how you can make butter in France. And that's probably why French butter has such a high standard.
Yeah. Wow. Yep. I always say that whenever you're traveling, the calories don't count, but especially in France, because why would you be? As a matter of fact, let me share this with you, Stephen. There are two friends that I have more than two friends, but this particularly two friends. Uh, Both of them were one was definitely gluten intolerant, and the other one is gluten sensitive. But both of them on a separate occasion went to Europe, particularly in France, south of France, and what they found is that can tolerate wheat product there much better than anywhere else in the world. And I do think that either A, the type of wheat is different or the way that they process it. So a lot of the times people discount or underestimate the effect of food processing when it comes to our health
Yeah.
because people only talk about food safety. And it's very important too. But we live in a world where some of us, especially in the first world country, developed country, I feel that food safety is the bare minimum. I feel that more and more studies and research have shown that food needs to be more than just be fulfilling in terms of the calorie intake
Yeah.
and safe in terms of free from microbiology contamination and everything. But food also needs to be nourishing because you can be eat a pack of Doritos. It's safe. It will not have E. coli and everything. It has all of the calorie in terms of the carbohydrate. It has all the vitamins that they added into the chips, even some fiber. And now they can sell you a high protein Doritos chips as well. But are those chips nutritious and nourishing? The answer probably no. So uh, I feel that this is something that we need to be very, very clear because I understand that we are talking about. I feel that sometimes it feels very arrogant and pompous to be talking about fresh fruit and vegetables and how we process food, how particular we are about our butter in the world where hunger still exists. But at the same time, I do think that if we care about ourselves and our body, we need to be able to at least to know the facts, but also make better choices for our body.
I think that I really like that point that we should be looking at what we're eating and making choices, and maybe we make breakfast choices that then support the other food that we're planning to eat later in the day.
I totally, I totally agree with that because back in the day, Nutella spread used to say that nutritious start of the day or something until they get sued or threaten to get sued, and it just changed to delicious start of your day or something like that.
Yeah.
But I have nothing against Nutella. I love Nutella. But if you start your breakfast with a high amount of sugar, which will give you a sugar high for maybe an hour, you will be twice as likely to snack in between breakfast and lunch because of the sugar crash. And that's what you're talking about. That breakfast, if you do eat breakfast, it should be the foundation of your dietary cycle for the day.
Yeah. So I'm a little bit aligned with the French. You shouldn't be surprised to know that the French, while croissant and chocolate croissant and almond croissants and all the wonderful things that they do with
We get it. You don't have to detail every type of croissant. I get it. Yes.
but I think the most popular breakfast in France is actually just a baguette with a bit of butter and a bit of salt.
Yes.
And I think that sets up your stomach to then be ready for all of the other things that you might be eating over the day. And of course, we know that the French love duck. I love duck as well.
I love that too.
Um, let's come back to Australia. What do you think is the most popular cafe breakfast in Australia?
Avocado on toast.
That's exactly right. Which seems For me, it seems a bit crazy. I think that a few episodes ago,
You don't like avocado. This is I don't throw tomatoes or avocados. Don't come at him. It's okay. It's okay.
yeah, there is a whole episode we could do about where avocado toast first got introduced and why it's still on the menu. But I have to admit, though, that avocado, being a fresh product and served without too many extra condiments on bread, is a pretty good start to your day.
And it's very healthy. It has a high amount of good fat, a little bit of fiber. Uh, I mean, I agree with what you said. You basically have a toasted bread, sourdough, hopefully, slice avocado or smash it, doesn't matter what it is, and then a sprinkling of salt and pepper,
Yep.
and off you go. So I do think that when it comes to the food preparation, it is as fresh as it can get. But at the same time, I also think that um, it is a very one-dimensional breakfast. I do think that it is good if you have it every weekend, for example, but not necessarily something that you have every day. Because I do believe that if you are going to eat breakfast, it needs to be or higher in protein, because that's the thing that is going to keep you full for longer, that sustain your energy.
Yeah. Look, I think that around cafes in Sydney, you'll see avocado toast served with
Fried eggs or
fried
bacon.
or sometimes bacon, maybe maybe things like coriander,
Yes,
grilled lime, just to try and dress it up a bit.
yes, and to justify the $28 price
Exactly.
tag.
My go-to is still the scrambled eggs. I think.
I I love eggs. I do think that eggs are very underrated when it comes to food item. Eggs are the one of the only two protein that are considered or defined as complete protein, which means that it has all of the essential amino acids. So the other one being milk. So eggs are very versatile. Scrambled egg, I love an omelette or fried egg even, or boiled egg. I really don't discriminate with eggs. And I have to say that I think people are coming back to eggs. I think there is I th I think for the past 2 or 3 years, there have been a lot of movement against animal protein, but when it comes to animal protein, and I'm all for, sustainability and everything, eggs probably sits on top of at the top of the list when it comes to sustainability. I mean, as long as you buy your eggs responsibly. I don't go to pasture raised because I do think that now, because of the demand and everything, is still too expensive. But at least I go cage free. So
Yeah,
yeah.
we never talk about that after that. Um, moving on. The next country on my list was Sri Lanka,
Oh wow.
and I was quite interested. I haven't been to Sri Lanka, but I think when I go to Sri Lanka, I will just be having breakfast because Sri Lankan breakfast, according to my research, is very similar to my favorite breakfast when I go to Malaysia, which is
Nasi lemak.
uh, no, and we can also have a conversation about nasi lemak and the differences between Singapore, Indonesia, and
Malaysia.
Malaysia. But actually, it's a puffy piece of bread, so it could be a roti,
Okay.
or in Sri Lanka, it's a rice flour pancake,
Okay.
and then it's loaded with scrambled eggs. Sometimes it's loaded with buffalo curd, or sugar in the form of honey, or sometimes palm shavings as well. Um, Sometimes coconut. It just sounds delicious.
I know. I this
That means that it's going to have a sambal as well,
Yes.
and that's my favorite thing actually. Out of Malaysia, particularly sambal, something that's really spicy and has all the anchovies and that heavy fish sauce, really sweet but very strongly chili sambal, wakes you up in the morning.
I I I I I bet. Speaking of sambal and chili, I don't know if you know this, and I don't know if you want to know this, but one of the very first things that Stephen and I bonded over was actually our love for growing chilies and different types of chilies. As a matter of fact, we have exchanged chili plants.
We have,
Not chili plants, the
yeah.
chili from the plants that we grow. So I don't know what to say to that. I just basically thought of that when you mentioned sambal, but I actually now want to go to Sri Lanka too.
It's definitely high on my list of places to visit for sure.
Okay, what's next?
Uh, Greece is next. And I know we're sort of, I feel like we're doing a race around the world on food just at the moment. But Greece is actually really interesting, I think. Um, Much more pastry and custard pastry than I had expected, which is popular for breakfast.
Okay, like Galactoburico.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Wow.
Or in Australia, we might think of it as a vanilla slice.
Yes. Oh, bear with me. In the UK, they call it the millionaire slice, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah,
Is it? Yep.
correct. Yeah, with all of the pillow.
Yes, filo
Top.
pastries.
Um, I looked at quite a few places just to confirm that
It is what it is. Yeah.
what it is, and also it's popular at breakfast. Um, but when I really thought about it, we're coming back to that lots of sugar and fat to start.
Yes.
And I think that maybe traditionally, if you're in the country in Greece, you need something that is filling, but also gives you the energy
For the physical labor.
physical labour or to go out into the fields. And I don't want anyone who's Greek to think that I'm putting down physical labour or assuming that everyone who lives in Greece works on a farm. It's the same in New South Wales here in Australia, that a lot of the places, when you go out to those small country towns, you will see the cafes loaded with those same kinds of pastries to start the day. So I think it makes sense.
Well, I do think that the reason why. Okay, let follow the jumping ball. Statistically, every time we talk about food and kitchen, we have around about 25% higher in both readership and listenership when it comes to our podcast and our newsletter.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. But the reason why I mentioned this is because you said just now that, oh, I know we're going around the world talking about food, but you cannot separate food from culture. I really do believe that the people, the custom and the culture and the tradition shape the food and vice versa. That's the reason why I feel that whenever we talk about food, everybody gets interested because we all have opinion about food. And
Yeah.
the best part is that there is no wrong opinion when it comes to food because there is very little food that is 100% what they call original. Everything is a little bit of fusion. Everything is a little bit of a blend, as a melting pot. And one of the very good examples when it comes to authenticity of food, and the reason why there's no such thing as authentic food in my mind, because when we talk about Sichuan food, yeah, people would immediately think spicy, chili. What is authentically Sichuan is spicy. But if you don't believe me, Google this. If you look at the history of chili, chili was not endemic, was not grown naturally in China. It was introduced through Silk Road and everything. And the reason why the region of Sichuan was the one that took chili up and incorporated into their food and culture was because Sichuan was a little bit of inland, which sounds contrary to the Silk Road and everything. But being inland, it was almost like sheltered from all the conflicts and war, which means that in the past, when you are not when you didn't have to fight and were too busy to defend your village and villages and cities, you actually had time to develop the culture, including food. And that's the reason why Sichuan food is the way that it is today, because of the Silk Road, the introduction of chili, which is an outside culture. Because before that, authentic Sichuan food did not include chili.
Wow. Wow. That is also an amazing segue to the last country that I wanted to talk about.
Wow.
It's Japan,
Yes.
which is really the opposite almost of what you were just describing. Japan being an island, and while there was certainly a lot of trade, uh, I think of all the places that I've been around the world, Japanese food and Japanese cuisine is maybe the most unique in not only how it's prepared and what types of things are prepared, but also how it's served. So I had the privilege of traveling to Japan last year. My wife and I spent a couple of weeks in Japan, and we had a lot of Japanese breakfasts. And quite frankly, it's a little bit daunting when you sit down for the first time, and there are like 10 different little dishes
Yeah,
in front of you. You don't know what to start with. You don't know
which goes with where. Yeah.
which, and completely foreign to someone who'd never seen that.
Yes.
Um, but when I looked around the table of food that was served to us, I could pick out some of the key things that we see in other cuisines as well. So a protein and often fish,
Yes.
depending on where you are in Japan. But I had a lot of salmon
Yes.
for breakfast, which I maybe don't do in Australia. Maybe I don't have salmon for
For
breakfast.
breakfast. Yes.
Occasionally in Sydney or Melbourne, you might get smoked salmon with scrambled eggs.
Yep. Or on top of your eggs Benedict.
Yeah. Pickles. So that really opened my eyes to what you could have for breakfast.
And that so sorry, the reason why chaff was because I think everyone will agree with me, including yourself, Stephen, that everybody respect their culture and food. But I have to say that on the top of the list, when it comes to the relationship and respect of food, I have to say that the Japanese people and culture place food at such a high with such a high amount of respect because traditionally you can't even handle and make sushi unless you train under a sushi master for 10 years.
Yeah.
So the amount of preparation and some kind of training and like how do I even say that? Like it's almost like so culturally embedded in terms of and ceremonially executed when it comes to handling food. So it it doesn't it's not such a strange thing that say for example the puffer fish has to be handled with such care. Yes, uh, and they eat it uh, quite regularly. It is a delicacy, but quite regular in terms of like it's not just one place that you can find this. You can find in multiple places in Japan, and we know in the modern medicine that pregnant women should not be eating raw fish, but pregnant women in Japan still eat sushi and sashimi because the level of freshness, the level of quality and food safety that they apply to everyday food is at another level.
I think as well in Japan, what I saw was an understanding of where the food comes from.
Yes.
Uh, so we were staying at a small village where I come, and it included breakfast and dinner every day. And on the first day that we were there, the owner came out to describe what the breakfast was, which is really lovely of them. Um, they didn't have a huge amount of English, so one of the other girls who worked there had more English, and she was the translator. And on the very first day, there's this little bowl of almost fluorescent green seaweed, wakame.
Yes.
So I looked at it. I said, "Oh, I love seaweed." And there was, I kid you not, it's like a 10-minute story of where it came from.
Yes.
It's handpicked in this particular town, and then it's driven to this person who then packs it in this special paper, and then it's sent to where it gets dried, and then it gets then reanimated with water from this particular spring.
Yes.
It's amazing.
It is, and this is the thing why I have such a dualism when it comes to food, um, in the sense that what a privilege to be able to trace your food and to handle it with such respect and particularity. But at the same time, we still have quite a large number of people struggling to feed themselves. So I always think of that. I don't know. I have to say that I know this is a little bit out of topic, and I'm not normally someone who would always embed the social value and aspect to everything, but it is very hard. I find it very hard to talk about food without trying to think about the problem that we have with food, because we now frown upon ultra processed food or ultra processing of food.
Yeah.
However, without the ultra processing technology, half of the world will live in hunger. So I think, like anything, it's about the balance and how the ultra processing technology has turned food that was supposed to be available and more accessible and affordable to people into a money making machine.
Yeah.
This is a problem that I have with ultra processed technology. It is not just that it is processing food fast and in big quantity, it's how it is being tailored and engineered, especially to make you want more. Say, for example, uh, in food technology and nutrition field, we have this term soft food. So soft food means that uh, something that requires really small amount of effort to digest, and it enters your bloodstream really quickly in terms of the sugar.
Yep.
But then it also affects your dopamine center in your brain that makes you want more, want to eat more, and that's the reason why once you open a pack of chips, you cannot. It's very hard for you to physically stop until you finish the whole packet. So yeah, that's a little bit off topic, but that's my 2 cents when it comes to ultra processed food. Because uh, if we all can have that same amount of relationship in terms of tracing where our food's from, provenance is really really important.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't want you and everyone who's listening thinking that uh, food processing technology is all bad, because without that, we cannot feed the masses.
We come back to my list of top 10 breakfast cereal. Wheat Bix,
Yes,
which is potentially one of the more healthy options
yes,
for a quick cereal. You could argue that that is
ultra
highly
processed.
processed.
It is. It is. It is. And the same thing with tofu. By definition, tofu is actually ultra processed,
Yeah.
but in my book, they're actually quite healthy, especially if you're vegan or vegetarian, because it's high in protein. It's one of the very good source of vegan and vegetarian protein. So I guess because we're coming up to the end,
I feel like we need to
have part two.
well, we probably do need to have part two, but I kind of feel like we've walked all of our listeners to the edge of a big cliff.
Yes. So how about this? Let's summarize this. What's the takeaway from what we're talking about today, Stephen?
So my takeaway is that there are lots of foods that are on the market, and that understanding a little bit where they come from is important for a lot of people. But also, we need to definitely appreciate that if you're in the supermarket and you've got a couple of kids in tow, and you're wanting to get the shop done as quickly as possible, what are maybe the top three things that you can look for in a product that you're buying when you pick it up off the shelf? I look at sugar content, fat content, and salt content.
Yes.
Is that a reasonable thing to build into that decision? And so, even if it is a highly processed food, at least we're making
A better choices. Yeah,
is that accurate?
that's 100% accurate, and I do think that on top of those three, I also would probably add the country of origin, because I'm not being discriminatory or being generalizing when it comes to food, but things like, say, for example, if it's made in Australia or grown in Australia, you know that your lettuce will have to follow very strict standard and rules when it comes to the pesticide residues.
Of course.
Or but vice versa. So, for example, Brazil nuts that are grown in Australia are not going to give you selenium, even though Brazil nuts are very popular as a source of selenium, because our soil lacks that.
Yeah.
So I think country of origin is very important. I always try to buy grown, produced, and made in Australia products, because especially for fresh fruit and vegetables, because I work very closely with farmers and I want to support them. But at the same time, they literally and legally have to follow a set of rules and standards. They are very, very strict.
Excellent. Awesome.
Well, thank you. Next week, I will try to be on. We will try to be on because guess what? Next Wednesday, I will be back in Austin and broadcasting live from there to
Amazing.
do the Home Shopping Network. And I mean, you probably don't want to hear too much about that, but I will work very, very hard to prepare before leaving on Wednesday so that I have time to do this with Stephen next week.
So we're back next Tuesday around about 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
Yes. And there is something very exciting that's coming up on AskDrVincent.com. All credits to Stephen. Stephen had just revamped our newsletter format. Yes, it's so I am so excited. I had a sneak peek and I have to say that without Stephen, you wouldn't have been you wouldn't get all of these new um newsletter, new format and the accessibility because now it's like Apple News. You can access it from anywhere. Watch out, Tim Cook.
Thank you for all of the feedback about the PDF. I'm still going to do the PDF, but we will also have a browser version. So
Yes.
look forward to that.
And I have to say that I print out all the PDF because once, like, when Olivia, my daughter, grows up, I want her to know that you can have the mint version of our after hours newsletter. So on that note, thank you so much.
Thank you everyone for listening again, and looking forward to hearing you all next week.
Yes, and the recording of this podcast will be live on Sunday along with the newsletter. So bye bye.